West Side, worldwide. Today on Story Time, I'm going to do a story on a guy named Gregory Spencer, Reverend Gregory Spencer. How did I get familiar with Gregory Spencer? One day, me and a guy was at the car lot, and the guy came up to us and say, hey man, Gregory Spencer want to talk to y'all. He want to meet y'all on Berry and Miller at the barbecue place. But I had never seen Spencer, so we went up there, and I went in. My friend was in a car, and I went in, and this guy walked up to me, and he said, "Hey man, what's your name?" I said, "My name is Ron." He said, "Yeah, you know what a 66 shooter is?" I'm looking at this guy to see is he serious. I'm like, a 66 shooter, because you know I got a Glock 40 on me, and this guy, he say, "Do you know what a 66 shooter is?" I'm like, "No," but he went for his 66, and I pulled my gun out. And my friend walked in the door and said, "Hey man, what's going on?" He said, "Hey man, this dude for real." He said, "Yeah, he for real." And I was like, I'm still curious about what is a 66 shooter. So I put my gun up. We ordered food and stuff, and I say, "Man, what is a 66 shooter?" And he said, "You don't know what that is?" I'm like, "Nah, I never really heard of a 66 shooter." And he told me, he said, "One day you will have a 66 shooter." So come to find out, a 66 shooter is the 66 books in the Bible. And I was just like, "Oh man, this dude tripping." But I did understand that he was a pastor, and he had his own mortuary. And he had just built, he was finna build $1 million mortuary. And he was telling me about a lot of the guys he know, Kirk Franklin, a lot of the guys that was, singing and stuff like that. And I was like, "Hey man, I didn't really mean to, pull a gun on you and stuff like that, but I didn't know you." So he was like, "Yeah, don't worry about it." But me and Spencer and one of my crime partners, Doug, we became, friends and stuff. And I had a car lot, and I started doing a lot of business in the town, and I ended up getting indicted to Denver. And when I was in Denver, I used to call Spencer every now and then, just to tap in with him, talk to him and stuff like that for some spiritual advice. And after I come down from Denver, I was trying to get a bond hearing, just like the bond hearings that P. Diddy and Little Durk is trying to get. I know the process, and I seen how they said the same way they did Puffy and they did Little Durk, no bond. And I had to give Spencer a lot of credit, because he was one of the only guys or pastors that would come to the court building and testify for me and Doug, me and my crime partner. And the prosecutor was real. He was asking some crazy questions. Spencer sat there and he answered all the questions. And they say, "Okay, well, how long you been knowing Ronald Fisher?" He's like, "I've been knowing him for a while." "What about Doug?" "I've been knowing him for a while." They do business in the city and things. We was trying to establish residential areas and stuff like that, so we can actually get a bond. And the prosecutor asked him, "Do you know?" When he was telling me, they come to my church, and he was like, "Do you know these guys are drug dealers, and these guys are indicted for major drugs and stuff like that?" And Spencer, he had a way of he would sit up and he was like, "Well, they from the community, and I have people come to my church, but I never seen these guys with no drugs. I never seen them sell no drugs, but I don't know nothing about no drugs that these guys is indicted for." And then the prosecutor said, "Yeah, man, do you got drug dealers go to your church?" And President was like, "Well, I got a little bit of everything go to my church, but at the end of the day, we all fall short, in the day, we're not here talking about drugs. We're talking about a bond hearing so these guys can get out and beat it with their families until they go to court. And a lot of times, preachers, man, they scared to come to the court building. They scared to talk up for people. But this guy, man, he was special. He came to that court like he was a representative of an ambassador of Christ. He came and he talked to the judge. He talked to the prosecutor. He talked to all of the people, our lawyers. He talked to everybody, trying to get us a equal fair to go to court. Because a lot of times when you go to court and you don't have a bond, you got to wear the jail clothes and you got to look like you've been in jail. And he wanted to give us a fair shake to even go inside of the courtroom looking like we are on the streets. And that's one thing I can say about Reverend Spencer. I think he was one of the first guys that owned his own funeral home in Fort Worth. I know he was probably one of the first guys. He was kind of a young guy too, that even had the business mind to even run a mass corporation like he did, and it's still going on. And I liked the way he presented himself, and I liked the way that he handled himself in the federal court building, because a lot of people were scared. They won't even come up in the federal court building because there's no cameras in there and everything. So over the years, I thought Spencer was real smart. And one day he told me that how he got the property to build his mortuary. He said that the lady didn't want to sell it, and she didn't want to nobody that have it, and he offered her some money. And he said one day the lady called him back and told him he could have the property, or they worked out some kind of deal. And then that's when I knew that this guy was special, and this guy had a lot of friends in the community, and he always was trying to provide a certain service for the community. And I seen that he had passed, and I seen Kirk Franklin, and I seen a lot of guys, ministers, all over Texas that came to the funeral. He had a big funeral. I was still incarcerated. I didn't make it to the funeral, but I did, since I've been out, I had the opportunity to go to the church, and they have a new pastor at the church. And I went up there and I told him, I said, look, man, I just got out the feds. I just did 33 years. And I just come to pay my respects to a man that came to court and testified to say that to get us a bond, and we got a no bond. But just his coming up there and showing support, it really made me really happy, and it really made me know that everybody is not against you. You have people that were willing to help, and Spencer was one of these kind of guys. And I just wanted to give him his props, because that day that Reverend Spencer told me that I would own, or I would have a 66 shooter, it was something that was spiritual, and I didn't understand it back then. But now I have a 66 shooter. I have a couple of degrees in biblical studies. I have associates. I have other degrees in it. But now all of this thing from all of those years later that Reverend Spencer prophesied on me. I remember when I got shot, he prayed on me inside of the mortuary that he owned. I was right there, and he was asking me, I heard your hand was kind of messed up, and he told me that stick it out, and I stuck one out. He prayed for my hand, and he prayed for me, and then now I see that the 66 shooter is a Bible, and I have a 66 shooter, and I had an opportunity to really be able to ministry in prison, and I had an opportunity to be a minister into a couple of churches. I went to the Ark of the Covenant, which is Buck and Pastor Mary's church, and now I go to a church out here in Arlington, and I'm just happy to be able to go to these churches. Buck have a nice church, the Ark of the Covenant, and I can't wait to have an opportunity to go back, but I've been real busy working on this podcast, and I just wanted to shine light on Dr. Reverend Spencer. This church is called the Church of Philadelphia, which is brotherly love. And I just wanted to talk about Reverend Spencer.